Greetings and welcome to another author interview here at the Cozy Book Nook. I'm here with JK Zimmerman. Welcome.
Thank
you for being here tonight. You're here to sign, mostly promote your newest book, but you also have two other ones that we're going to talk about too. The third one that just came out is called The Darkest Holler, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, when I put it in the square just a minute ago, I put The Darkest Hour. I don't know why. It seems like to roll off. It's like, no, you got that wrong. The Darkest Holler. And this is a book 2 of a series,
yes.
Correct? And the first one is the Bird Kings?
The King of Birds.
Oh, the King of Birds. King of Birds. And this has actually been pretty popular. People always love this cover and taking a look at it, and they're always mesmerized by the name and stuff. And so these two are together, and this is their sequels to this one. And this one just released.
Yes.
Correct? So this is actually the first time you've actually been able to bring it in for us to take a look at.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Well, man, we've got so much we want to go over stuff. How about we start from the beginning? Which is the first book you wrote?
The King of Birds.
Okay, so the first book you wrote was the first book in the series.
Yes.
Okay. When was that? How long ago was that?
It was back in... I started it back in 2020 and came out in October of 21.
Okay. Was it the COVID being locked indoors have anything to do with it?
It did.
Okay.
It did.
So we had some people making bread.
Yeah.
And some people, getting into writing. I guess that was a good opportunity to do that. So you were able to write that during 2020 and publish it?
Yeah.
Okay. What's it about?
So it's about a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
That's it takes place here in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a little homage to Dayton, my hometown, and they go to all sorts of locations like Caroline Park and Woodland Cemetery.
I just now recognized the bells on there. I thought they looked somewhat familiar. I thought these are actually the Caroline bells. Oh wow, okay. I didn't even realize that. That's awesome though.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Dayton history in a sense in there, and the places around Dayton and the famous things. Kind of contrasting with the horror of having a serial killer around.
Yeah, so this is more of a mystery.
Yes.
How many protagonists are there? All three on the cover protagonist, or?
Yeah, we have. It's written in the form of a diary.
Okay, interesting.
So our narrator, Jonathan, he befriends kind of an awkward, almost autistic guy that he's run into, and this guy is a forensic accountant. So he's all about numbers and patterns and things like that. And so the forensic accountant kind of sees these random deaths that have been reported on as like, hey, these are all done by the same person, even though they have nothing in
no
common.
other connection.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he and Jonathan try and convince the police that these are connected. There's someone doing this, and so that's kind of where the book starts.
Okay. Yeah. And these and are the other characters are they law enforcement or?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a Dayton detective, all fictional, and she kind of is the main support within law enforcement that kind of believes them and is trying to get other law enforcement to see that maybe this is a serial killer.
Now we don't want to go into spoilers, but are the two books connected other than characters or?
Not in terms of villains.
Villains, okay.
Yeah, completely different set of villains.
Because sometimes you watch those series in the season 2, even though he fell off the roof and was shot 6 times, he comes back in the second season somehow.
Right.
Okay, so same protagonist, but the case is different or the scenario is different.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then when you went from this, you actually switched over to this is more of a fantasy.
It is.
Okay, so this one's A Fire Awakens. And this one came after this one.
It did.
So how did you kind of transition from doing like a mystery to a fantasy and?
Well, it's kind of odd. I was actually working on the sequel to my first book, and I kind of just woke up one day and I was like, I had this idea in the back of my mind for years, and it suddenly was like, it's time to write it.
Yeah.
And so. Kind of the premise is that it's a fantasy world where magic is treated like a disease. So if you display signs of magic, then you're sort of cast out and sometimes even killed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so the main character realizes, that he has this affliction, which is called, in the book, it's called a doth kiln. And so he has to basically run away from his family, from the kingdom, and he was a minister in the kingdom, and so he just leaves without telling anyone really what's going on. So the other main character is his son, who is just left with, like, where'd my father go?
Oh, so he didn't take his son with him.
No.
Like, more likely he didn't want to like have him on the run,
right,
for the rest of his life.
Didn't want to sort of taint him with shame that would come with this. So, the main character realizes that there are other people out there with this affliction, but they don't see it as an affliction.
Right.
And so he's kind of coming to terms with, okay, maybe this isn't an affliction. Maybe my culture is wrong.
Right.
And so all of that. So
yeah, and that's a great show. Kind of like being the outsider, being oppressed, and kind of realize, hey, I'm in my own group, but we're not necessarily just because you don't have powers doesn't mean those with powers are bad.
Right.
I remember like which story or movie where it's like it was pretty much I guess it was like the X-Men. You know how like some people have they're mutants.
Yes.
And then when they started giving it to like everybody, and like everybody started getting powers and stuff, it's kind of then everybody wanted it. But then you started to realize they were more upset because they didn't have the powers, not because it was easier to label them than it was anything else. So as a fantasy though, now you got a world build, and like you said, you created a term for those that have the magic.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you come up with that kind of terminology and the world building to kind of create those cultures? You have to pretty much start from the ground up for a lot of these.
Yeah, and it was difficult to pick what things needed to be built and not needed to be built. For example, like I didn't invent a new economy, like they just use gold, but this economy or this society is a caste society, so there's different levels of caste, and people are known what caste they're in by they get a specific tattoo when they turn 16. Okay. And so it marks them as this caste, and this caste doesn't deal with this caste, and so
everybody stays in their own lane.
Right, and so there's a sort of prejudice that goes on there, and
I think we relate to that as well.
Yeah.
In the world we live in.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Now, is this going to be part of a series?
It is.
Called the Doth Keelan Chronicles.
Correct.
So is this, you thinking trilogy? You thinking just continuous, or?
Well, I have 3 in mind. I am 95% done with the sequel to that.
Very nice.
So hopefully the beginning of the next year it'll be ready. So really kind of getting into the editing stages and the beta reader stages and kind of going with that.
Very nice.
So,
all right, very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, people love the covers. Speaking of covers, let's take a look at your third one here. So this is a sequel to The King of Birds, and this is the same kind of protagonist, different case. Now, your husband actually made the cover for this.
He did.
Now, he didn't do the other covers?
He did do the cover to this one.
Okay.
So
people love that one too.
Yeah, I like this one a lot too.
Yeah, people are really drawn to that, and up until the point where I just thought it was a tower, but that's very cool. So that's very neat that he was able to do that. You showed it to me like previously, and it's just a very beautiful cover on that. So how about this one right here? How does this kind of carry on? Is it kind of like timeline wise, like right after, or it's just?
It is. It's a few months after, and what happens is that in Dayton, young people start disappearing, and some of them show back up, but after they've had their organs harvested. So there's a group of organ thieves that are out there operating. And
really started on people's fears, of like drinking something they're not familiar with, waking up in a bathtub and their kidneys stolen.
Exactly.
That's like a myth that kind of keeps resurfacing. So that'd be a very scary, like in a storyline, like for that to start happening in there. So the same kind of thing where you start to see similarities, or is this one that kind of like you kind of already know it's the same?
So, it pretty soon they know it's the same. Like the the forensic accountant.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who first sees that this is a string of crimes and not just isolated incidences. But with that kind of MO, like it's pretty obvious that
it's the same person.
Yeah, there aren't. At least I hope there's not a lot of organ thieves out there operating, and so it just kind of made sense.
What kind of inspired maybe like the second story compared to like the first story? I mean, the first one's like, obviously they're disconnected and you have a character that kind of puts them all together. This one, more of a traditional, there's someone out there with the same MO and tracking them down. Yeah. Like, how do you kind of like start a new story, I guess, with the same characters? Did anything inspire that, or?
I think it definitely had to do more with character development.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to give them a different mystery to solve and a different way to solve it. So it isn't just a repeat of the first novel at all. It's where the forensic accountant is the one that puts it all together. Here, the forensic accountant's having more trouble with it, and so then the narrator kind of fills in some of the pieces because it's more.
Is it another diary?
It is. It is written in the form of a diary. Yeah.
Okay. So, but the person whose diary it is not the forensic thing. Do you know who it is? I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah, the main character, Jonathan. He's the one who's doing it's his diary.
Very interesting. So that's the kind of character that you'll be developing.
Yes.
And I would assume that this probably be a much longer series. Something that probably can continue as not.
Yeah.
Just a trilogy. Obviously, like stories like these, you kind of have you can have that beginning and middle and end. Yeah. But for these, which as long as you got good cases, you can continue to have that character.
Right. And I have the third novel. I have the germs of it going. So I know the crime.
Yeah.
And this one's also set in Dayton, but the third one won't be. I mean,
okay.
As much as I love Dayton, we kind of have to branch out a little.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but honestly, and this is one thing that kind of draws me in there, because I'm the author I'm reading tonight. Her book actually takes place in Dayton too.
Oh, really?
And I love that because being in Dayton. So if you live in Dayton, it's also be a good opportunity to check out these books, because then you get to actually familiarize yourself.
Yeah. I
remember one of Stephen King's books I read this year took place in Norwood in Cincinnati.
Oh.
And I was like, I used to work down there, so some of the streets and stuff started to come out. Like, it kind of makes you more connected to the story when you feel like it happens around you. So I can definitely see that, but I also definitely see you want to start moving out. Otherwise, it becomes a niche where it's only for people in Dayton.
Right.
I was like, if you live anywhere else, it's like, well, there's a Dayton book, Whereas if you start to spread out a little bit, it makes it more interesting. Yeah. So that should be a fun way to transition too, because then you got to worry about jurisdictions and things like that. Yeah. You have a whole other host of conflicts that you can introduce. Let's talk about you, the writer. So you come from a literary background as a teacher, correct?
A teacher. So I've been teaching high school English for 25 years.
Wow.
And I went into teaching English because of my love of books. And so wanted to be able to share that with other people, with students.
Your students know that you've published some books?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel a little awkward sometimes being like, hey, I'm an author. But yeah.
It's amazing how much authors, you see, you think they're just these big, Stephen King's have been around for a while, just used to the, people just knowing that. Now it's it's almost something you don't want to mention, because not everybody's going to get the same reaction from everybody. Some people are like, oh, wow. Other people are like, all right, so you're poor. Yeah. I get that. What else do you do? Are you an artist too? It's you don't realize, especially nowadays with social media and stuff like that, you can actually make good money, but it's always kind of been, unless you're one of the bigger name authors, you've always associated that kind of the artist mind with being that, not be able to sell. So that's, I would think as part of being a teacher, if I was in a class and knowing that you had published some books, especially now as self-publishing is becoming more popular, prevalent, that'd be definitely something that you can inspire writers. Because I started writing in high school. It's where I kind of got my motivation to start writing with some an English class. I think the first memory I can remember is when she asked me everybody to write a sentence or 3 sentences or a paragraph for a story, and I wrote a page and a half. Yeah. And it's one of the first times that I fell in love with writing. And what kept me from pursuing that was, at the time, the 90s, there was no avenue
Yes.
to self-publish. Even if you went to the route where you're buying your own books and stuff like that,
Right.
that hadn't quite arrived yet. So I put a lot of my writing in the background. But now, being a teacher and being self-published, I think you're in a good, forefront to be able to hopefully inspire some of these students that have a passion for writing. So you can write and you can publish right off the bat. And you've been a teacher now for, I think you said 23 years? 25 years? Yeah. Wow. And it's a long time to put up with teenagers. But I guess you kind of get used to it over time. But, and then, every year you have a new cycle of students coming in and stuff. So, is there any other hobbies that you have? Like, what do you do when you're not teaching and writing? What kind of stuff do you enjoy?
I do gardening and so a little bit of woodworking. I've kind of gotten away from that, and then also like crafting, so making signs or funny T-shirts and things like that.
Oh, very nice. So now your husband's you're in graphic design and does some of that, an artist. So I think that kind of would help with kind of that creativity as well too. And it's always good to have somebody like in your corner too that kind of like not only tolerates your hobby, but someone who takes an actually proactive thing. With Leslie and I being co-owners here, she's very proactive in helping me write and stuff. So it's good to have that in there. So you got these books that came out, 3 in a row. We got 2 more coming out. We're so excited to check these out. I'm trying to decide. I think I'll probably start with the mystery ones myself because I'm a big mystery guy. And I find that mystery is sometimes hard to write. So I think that's why I like reading it, because it's more challenging. You got to leave clues. You got something to solve, and you got to make it kind of realistic in the sense of that. Did you have any kind of like assistance from like maybe somebody who was in law enforcement or something like that, or?
I didn't. I wish I did.
So I guess terminology would be one thing I'm worried about. When I used to write mystery and stuff about detectives. But honestly, if you ever look, except for having somebody come in to help you with specifics, the story themselves, completely come from imagination and stuff. But
I certainly spent a lot of time researching on the internet and things like that, and but I did have random questions like, do police officers carry a rope in their cars? I just needed to know that. And
thank God for the internet. Nowadays, you can pretty much Google anything, as far as anything you need to know, and at least get an understanding of that. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
We're at our wine and read, so as you can see, we've filled our glasses with some good wine that James actually brought. So we appreciate that. I brought some swill with me, but I'm like, you know what? He brought the good stuff, so we're going to enjoy that after we wrap this up. But again, thank you so much. We're excited. We have all 3 of his books here. We'll be carrying them on the shelves. All of his socials and everything's going to be in the links below, so be sure to check them out. You got 2 more books you're already in the process. One, you got the sequel to this that you're in the hopefully in the final stages of get that out. And then you got the 3rd book, if you like mystery, going into already kind of gestated a little bit and ready to get that down pen to paper. So we'll be pretty excited about that. We're super excited to have his books on the shelves. So I think we're looking forward to that. So anything else you want to add? I think we covered a lot of the bases.
Yeah, we did. No, that's good.
Okay, but we look forward to having you in again. Again, this one's his book just came out. It's so the first time coming out. So we'll try to get him in here whenever he has another book comes out, and kind of keep going that. We're looking forward to see him progress. He's very active with our bookstore. He's been here at several events. We just love the community that we're building here, and he's been here pretty much from the start. He's one of the first authors to walk through these doors, curious about what we do. So we're very happy. And that's one thing we'll tell him a quick story. Okay. So this is the 3rd time we've scheduled his book signing. Completely out of his control. The first time it was after, my mother passed away, and we had viewing that night. So we had to reschedule. I appreciate you being, for that. And then the following time we had you scheduled for, we had a big storm come through Ohio and just kind of knock out power, and we didn't want people out on the streets and dealing with that, or even know if we had power at the time. And so we got you in today. Yes. So we are so excited. He's been so patient. I don't think there's any other author who has rescheduled this much that still came in, and we still had a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to it. So we're going to keep this party going. But definitely check out his socials. James, thank you so much for coming in tonight and sharing your story, and we look forward to hearing more about you as time goes.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And, like I said, I'll have all those links below. And we'll hope to see you in the next episode with the next author interview. Have a great night, everybody.